Hey friends, did you know that you're probably wasting money in Google Ads and you might not even know it? Well, in today's video, I'm going to share a conversation that I just had with Chris Schaeffer, who in my opinion is one of the top Google Ads experts in the world. Chris is the host of the Paid Search podcast. He has his own coaching and consulting business, and he's been in Google Ads for a couple of decades. Chris has managed over $100 million in Google Ad spend, and in today's video, we're gonna share some of the common mistakes and issues that people have as they're setting up and managing a Google Ads account that causes them to waste money. Hey, but before we dive into the conversation, if you're looking to save some money inside of Google Ads, in addition to the tips that you'll get today, make sure to grab my free PPC cost cutting cheat sheet. You can get it at scottredgate.com/cheat sheet, and I'll leave a link in the description below. All right, friends, so I am super excited this week to have Chris Schaeffer, in my opinion, one of the world's best PPC experts to talk Google Ads with us. So Chris, before we begin, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for joining us on this channel, and thank you for imparting some of your wisdom.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited to be here. I've seen your content. I recently started subscribing and watching it, and there's a lot of good advice out there, and there's just advice out there. And I think you're on the latter, the former ladder. I just screwed that up. But your advice is good.
The check is in the mail. I appreciate you saying that. Check is in the mail. But no, seriously, thank you for all that you do. I was talking with my wife before we started recording, and I was like, the Paid Search podcast, which obviously you are the host of, is one of my favorite podcasts. It's one of those ones where I'll get on the treadmill at the gym, and it's just a very trustworthy news source. And so I appreciate just your years and years of work and your expertise to help small and medium-sized businesses.
Yeah. Like I say, my goal, of course, is to get business and have people know my name. But I think the ultimate goal beyond that, even though I put a lot of time and effort into it, is just to raise the raise the world of PPC knowledge out there, so that people won't spend money needlessly and be confused by all these crazy ideas and strategies that will just blow their entire marketing budget needlessly. I'm excited that helps so many people around the world do that. That's the biggest honor. So glad to do it.
Amazing. Yeah, I think, what I'd love to talk about with you, and actually, let me back up. The purpose of my channel is to help small and medium-sized businesses make more and spend less in their online marketing. And obviously, Google Ads plays a critical role in that. And as you kind of just alluded to there, if you start a Google Ads account from scratch and you just rock and roll with the default settings, you're going to have a pretty hefty price to pay.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there's a lot of advice that you can get in Google, and advice, directly in the Google Ads interface, and advice you get outside of Google from experts and people who have lots of ideas. And it is impossible to state how many ways there are to waste money in Google Ads. It is an endless minefield. You dodge one and you're going to step on another. So you really need to know the path before you start, because you'll find one. You'll find a mine to step on for sure.
Beautiful. Well, what I thought we could do is we could go through different sections of Google Ads, and what we can discuss is essentially like how businesses waste money setting up and managing their Google Ads account. So I have no doubt that maybe we'll have a couple of tangents here, a couple of good stories, but excited to get your wisdom shared with some of the audience here.
Let's do it.
All right, perfect. So let's talk first about campaign structure. Pretty important part of the Google Ads ecosystem. So question is, what are some mistakes? How do you see businesses wasting a lot of money with their Google Ads campaign structure?
Yeah. So first of all, as I like to do, I like to talk to people both on the low knowledge side and the high knowledge side. So first, low knowledge side, I'm speaking to you. When Scott says campaign or campaign structure is referring to is how many campaigns you have and how many you decide to create for different purposes. And for that reason, I think that's usually where people start stepping in mines and making mistakes and wasting money, is because they start with a complex idea, right? One of the worst that is a pet peeve of mine is called SKAG, single keyword ad group. It's a system that is back in the day, back in 2016, 2017, it was starting to fade out, but it still has a group of people that believe it's the secret to Google Ads. And that's a form of over complex building campaign structure to try and accomplish very specific goals. So it turns out to be a complete waste of spend for reasons we won't get into in this discussion. But the idea is the fact that you can somehow build complexity in your campaign when you're just starting. That's a silly thought, because you don't start with super complex ideas. First, you build simple. You derive answers based on that data, and you build further based on the answers and the success that you've had. Complexity starts not at the beginning, but near the end. Phase 4, phase 3 of Google Ads is when you have complexity. So start simple and avoid duplicating things. Say, well, this didn't work. I wonder if I create this new campaign and just copy these keywords and try it with broad match, right? Maybe that'll work. It's not. Okay, I'll save you the time and the money. Just taking something and just copying it and creating a duplicate of it will not lead to success because of some magic thing. I mean, match types, different geographic targeting, trying something at the county level versus a whole bunch of zip codes is not going to be the magic key that suddenly makes it pop and work. The complexity, as I said, is built from the ground up, and start with a simple idea and build based on success from there.
Wow. And even you bring up SKAGs, single keyword AdWord groups.
Yeah.
What's interesting about that is, like, if someone is trying to force that into their campaign structure in 2024, it's completely different, because Google, with some of these, if you have an exact match keyword, that's a low volume keyword, that thing's not even going to show anymore. So you've taken the time to create all these campaigns for all these single keywords, and you're not even getting any impressions.
Right. You've given up the most important part. You can always make more money. You can't create time. And now you've wasted your money and your time. So you're double screwed.
That's a good point. Good point. Awesome. So how about another important aspect of Google Ads, or Google AdWords, as it was previously called, with keyword targeting? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, that one's a softball for sure. I mean, the thing that I see people screw up immediately is broad match keywords, and this is not because I don't think that people choose broad match keywords because they think that broad match keywords are, better. I just think it's ignorance about they don't understand what the difference between broad, phrase, and exact is. So keyword targeting just with match type and just going with the default is usually a mistake. It's not always a mistake. I use broad match keywords all the time successfully, but I'm better than you are. That's why you're listening to the podcast and I'm talking on it. So you should use them in a smart way. And there's ways to do that, but just starting with the default match type is a bad idea. It's a bad idea. Another thing that I find keyword targeting, you get outside of match type. I can make a bad keyword, exact phrase, or broad, simply by taking out the context of the keyword itself, right? So if I'm doing lawn mowing and I do an exact match for lawn care, right? I've taken out the context of the word services or near me or experts or specialist or, something like that. I've taken out the context and I just have exact match lawn care. That keyword is a bad keyword because it has no context of the service that someone's actually looking for a service. That's a problem. So the match type can be completely disregarded and you can still fail simply because your keyword targeting is too broad. You're not picking keywords that specialize in someone looking for a service. I call them action terms. Instead of lawn care services is a better term than just lawn care, because the person has explained that they're looking for a service, a local service. Lawn care near me is better than just lawn care. So that's just by adding context, adding something that explains the keyword. Even if you use just broad match, I think is a better idea. I think the worst mistake you can have is do broad match with no context keywords. But the worst, a little bit better is at least to have broad match that has context, right? Broad match lawn care near me is better than just broad match lawn care.
Awesome. Well, if you thought the last question was a layup, here's one for you. Why do you think that broad match is the default keyword match type in Google Ads?
Yep. And it's because Google is not stupid. Google knows that the default is going to be what people choose, because people that are just getting started need to just set something up and it just work, right? The most frustrating question that you get in Google Ads is, why am I not getting impressions? Why am I not getting clicks, right? And I don't think this is an evil part on Google's, I don't think it's an evil decision on their part. It's just because the last thing you want to happen is you put in a keyword and you come back the next day or the next week and nothing's happened. So they use broad match keywords because it's pretty much guaranteed to get traffic. But the effect of that is it's guaranteed to get traffic, but not good traffic, not conversions, not sales, phone calls, right? So that's Google's real purpose, is to make sure you get traffic. That's really the only thing you can guarantee in Google is traffic, not good, not bad. I mean, you're just going to get traffic. It might be kind of mid-tier, low tier kind of traffic, who knows, but you're going to get it. That's what Google is going to guarantee, pretty much. And I think that's why it's default, simply because it gets the ball rolling from day one.
Yeah. Well, awesome. Well, this is a Google Ads masterclass. I feel like we could end it right now, but I've got some more.
No. I got tired. Let's do it.
Beautiful. So one thing that I appreciate in Google Ads as compared to some of the traditional marketing mediums is location targeting, right? Like a business can theoretically come in there and pick city or zip code or what have you and target to those users. So the next section of Google Ads that I want to talk about with you is location targeting. So what are some mistakes, or how do you see businesses wasting money with their location targeting?
Well, Scott, I think the best way to explain this is to tell a funny story about my sister, who, if you have siblings, you always think that you're the smartest one, and it's just really sad that you got all the brains and they got nothing. So I love to use degrading stories about my sister. And the funny thing is, we would go out to eat sometimes, and my sister her eyes would be bigger than her stomach. And I would just, every time, just baffled by, we'd go to, a buffet, and she would just load her plate up and never even have a chance of eating all the food that she would get. No way she's going to eat all of that. And it would happen every single time. And I think this is what I see happen all the time in Google Ads. Not only do people start with complexity and these massive ideas to, like, oh, well, people always say this to me, so I'm going to put this as a keyword. My competitors never thought of this. This is a whole new idea. I invented. You build complexity in at the beginning. The second thing that you build is a big appetite, where you think, well, I really am only going to drive about 20 miles to a job. I only want 20 miles, but I'm going to go ahead and add 50 miles, or I'm going to add multiple counties just in case. And what people don't realize, by adding that, what that does is it degrades the ability for you to target the areas that matter more. So it takes that little bit of budget and spreads it over 4 counties instead of just 1. So now you're doing a worse job in the county that matters and spreading it out into the other areas. And I think that targeting too wide is a massive mistake. Beyond that, I think allowing one particular setting in Google Ads to run in your campaign, 2 settings technically, and this is not necessarily geographic targeting, but it has to do with see if I can remember it's the location, the advanced location targeting, where you allow Google to show your ads to people who are in your geographic location and people that are interested.
Presence or interest.
Location. Thank you. Well said. So by having that setting plus having search partners, you don't realize it, but you're allowing some of the most lenient targeting geographically that can just waste money immediately. And I can spot it in an account in about 2.5 seconds, because I go to the search terms And I'll tell you the secret right here, right? I don't think I ever said this on the Paid Search podcast. So, Scott, they're getting something brand new here. You're a victim of this if you go to your search terms and look for in USA. If you see in USA in your search terms, you are a victim of search partner plus interest targeting. And you need to turn that off right away.
Wow. Actually, to add on to that, I was recently working in an account that it was a Performance Max campaign that had presence or interest set up, and the campaign was doing relatively well, achieving the conversion goals. And then all of a sudden, the quantity of spam leads that came into that campaign were ridiculous. I mean, spike to the point that the campaign actually needed to be paused temporarily. And one of the culprit that I saw was it was presence or interest. There were some foreign countries that whatever bots or whatever spam traffic got a conversion. Then Google's like, oh, let's get more of that since it's a conversion-based campaign. Then all of a sudden, budget's blown. So I agree. And regarding your sister, is it a younger sister or older sister?
Younger sister, yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Awesome. Well, beautiful. The next section, Chris, that I want to talk about is ad copy or assets, or formerly known as extensions. What are your thoughts on them?
So I'm glad you say, thoughts, because that's really what I'm about to throw out some. I have opinions. Now, I think all my opinions are 100% correct and everyone should follow them, but they are in fact opinions. So I'm going to say something that many people disagree with me on, and you can argue and tell me why you're wrong, but I know why I say these things. Number one, ad copy and extensions is putting your company name in your headlines. I think that is the biggest waste. Unless you can tell me your company name and I've heard of you, that's a bad decision. You should be a household name. I don't care how many billboards. I don't care that it's important if you're going to try and do branding or awareness in search ads. That's the dumbest idea, because there's no more expensive way to get your name out than at a $2 cost per click of trying to get people to remember your name. Buy a billboard, get a radio ad or something. Come on, that's ridiculous. So putting your company name in there, I think, is a complete waste. The next thing that I find is a complete waste is site links. I warned you.
Whoa, controversial take.
I don't like site links. And very often, I just started a brand new campaign with a client just today. I deleted all other site links. Done. Don't want them. We put all this time into, the client did, put all this time into building this specialized page for my well-built, well-structured, focused search campaign. Why would I want 10, 15, 20% of the traffic to go to these site links, which they will, sometimes it could be even more, to go to these site links that don't have a call to action on them, don't have quality content. Most of the time, the conversion rate is horrible, for people to just click on something that says contact us. That's a worthless page. They're not going to contact us. They're going to click off of the page, not convert. So I think site links are the biggest thing. And then last, the location extension, I think, is a pretty big waste for a lot of people. I was working with a dumpster company. They rent dumpsters. And I found that about 45% of their traffic was going to the get directions button. Now, this could be okay, right? Because they can go to that takes them then to their business listing on Google Maps, right? Their location listing. Are they then going to the website and calling? Are they calling the number in the Google location listing? We don't know. You lose tracking once they leave that nice, cozy tracking area. As soon as they don't click on the headline and they leave to anything else other than your website, you lose that capacity to track. So I feel like it's a massive waste. And that's another thing that for many accounts, I turn off immediately, because I want them to go to the area that provides the best investment for that client, which is going to be most likely the page that we built for them to go to. Landing page, internal page on their website, homepage, whatever it is.
Interesting take, because you would hear other experts argue, well, the quality score advantage of having all these perfectly crafted ad extensions. So I guess maybe one point that you're making here is you shouldn't necessarily optimize for quality score, optimize for conversions.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm a firm believer in quality score being the last thing that I think about. I don't really optimize for quality score. I pay almost no attention to it at all. If I do everything else, I feel like quality score takes care of itself. If I make sure I'm doing what I want to do and I'm building things in the way I should build them and manage them, if my quality score is bad, it's probably because Google doesn't understand my business. I have plenty of clients that are in these niche industries that the quality score is just horrible and I can't make it better. Happens all the time. But plenty of others are great. So I've come to the conclusion that I can't control quality score. So why take a deduction in my conversion rate to play this silly quality score game that I can't control anyway?
Yeah, and one additional point on the extension or assets as they're called now, for anyone that has auto apply recommendations enabled in the account, well, that's another topic. And shameless plug, I do have a video on this channel about auto apply recommendations.
Nice. Marketer.
But
nice.
automated extensions or automated site links,
Yeah.
right? Where you've got an ad and then Google is essentially crawling your website. And I mean, there's nothing necessarily stopping Google from showing things like privacy page or pages that are not in your purchase journey for your potential customer base. Complete waste of money.
Right. Absolutely. Totally agree.
Yeah. Beautiful. All right. This one's a big one. Conversion tracking. What are some mistakes you see there?
So, I think the first thing is conversion tracking that does not allow risk control or risk management control of how much your CPC is. So when it comes to bidding, there's only one factor of risk, and that's how much you're paying per click. Okay. There's other risk management factors in Google Ads, like the kind of keyword you're picking, the match type, things like that. But when it comes to your bidding strategy, you should have control of your risk so that lawn care broad match does not have the potential to receive the same CPC as lawn care near me or weed control services near me. Great keywords, but potentially just the word lawn care could get twice the volume, twice the CPCs between those. So not having the ability to control that risk, I think, is a detriment to any campaign, whether you're good at Google Ads or not. So for that reason, I think automated bids like max conversions and target impression share, I think, are the worst ways to run a campaign when you are not hitting your KPIs, when you're not successful with your account, when you do not have a way to manage that and control that. You don't have a conversion tracking, or you don't really even know if it's working or not. The last thing you want to do is just give Google control of the gas pedal on your Google Ads campaign. Believe me, Google has a lead foot. They will push the gas pedal as much as they want. You don't want to give them full ability to control that in your account. And I think max conversions is a poor idea. A better idea, target CPA. A better idea is max clicks with the CPC limit on it, something like that.
Have you ever seen someone with like a max conversions, or essentially giving Google open season for whatever they want to bid in terms of, and seen like an insanely high CPC for a particular search term?
Yeah, there's been some times Scott, I do live consulting, and it's always I have to calm the person down. I mean, they get very upset whenever I do one of my favorite things, whenever someone who doesn't know, they're not dumb, they're just ignorant is all. And I'm happy to show them, because it will get better once you know where the problem is. But I look at the search terms. I'll set it to the last 90 days. I'll look at the search terms and I'll sort by average CPC. And I'll never forget this one gentleman that I did that for, and he saw a $350 a click, in the past 50 days. And I mean, this is stuff he should have been getting. It was not a service that would ever be worth $350. And he saw that, and no, no business owner is going to be more angry than seeing that kind of money just going right down the toilet, without them even knowing that it was happening. There's one thing to know that it's happening, but to not know that it's happening and to not stop it, that's especially infuriating. So yeah, absolutely.
Painful. Absolutely painful. And for my audience, if you're watching this video right now, something that's recent on the conversion tracking front, obviously Google migrated from Universal Analytics to Google Analytics 4. And something that I've recently seen is some businesses are double counting the conversion streams that are coming in to Google Ads. So something else to watch out for there. All right, Chris, this has been, by the way, amazing. Thank you so much for taking the time. I have one more section for us to discuss, and that's budget management.
Okay. So this one's a little complicated. Hopefully you have time. But I think to answer this question, the best way that I can answer it is to briefly explain my phases of Google Ads discussion. So I believe firmly that the worst thing that you can do is to take actions in Google Ads before the phase that you're in calls for that action. So if you're in phase 1 of Google Ads, increasing the budget is a very bad idea. Phase 1 of Google Ads essentially means you don't have control of your traffic quality. Forget conversions, right? I'm not even talking about conversion. You may have a bunch of conversions. You may have no conversions. But if you don't have control of your traffic quality, you don't have control of your account. Okay. So that's phase 1. Phase 2 is you're now able to look at your search terms, the metrics of your account, and know that I'm paying for what I want to pay for. I know people that want to buy whatever I'm selling are largely coming to my Google Ads to about a 90% range. 10% might be wasted, but you're never going to be 100%. There's always going to be some waste. So phase 2 is there. Phase 3 is when you've accomplished not only the quality of traffic, but now you're hitting your KPI, your key performance indicator. So once you accomplish a key performance indicator of $50 a lead or a ROAS of 3.5 or something like that, that I think is when it's appropriate to start spending more in your Google Ads. Again, this might be controversial, but I do not believe that spending more when you're in phase 1 speeds up your ability to reach phase 3 and then eventually phase 4. It only accelerates how much you're wasting in Google Ads, how much failure you're experiencing. Now, it could help you to find those leaks faster, but what business owner says, hey, we have a fire burning over here. Let's pour gas to find out the source of that fire. It's a stupid idea. You don't deserve your business at this point. You're going to lose it doing that. That's ridiculous. Put on a fire hat, right? I have a fireman cap on. I'm going to put out fires. I don't pour gas on it. So I firmly believe that increasing once your KPIs are met is the best thing you can do with budget management in Google Ads, and not skip phase 2 and not be in phase 1 and think you're in phase 3. Last, taking the advice of those scary red buttons in Google Ads that say that the campaign needs more budget or that targeting is limited or something like that. Taking advice from the system itself, an automated system that cannot guarantee success. It only guarantees more of whatever you're getting. So taking the advice of those warning indicators in your campaign, I think, is bad budget management, and it will lead to accelerated loss in your account.
Yeah, Chris, I don't know where you stand with this, but one of my favorite messages to see is actually limited by budget in the account, especially when you go into limited by budget and you see maybe at like 6, 7 p.m. spend stops. Because in my opinion, what that's telling me is you could actually make, if it's automated bidding, conversion-based bidding, you make the performance targets a little bit stricter, or potentially if you're on manual bidding, the ability to reduce your CPC and have it go throughout the day. What are your thoughts on the limited by budget?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the healthiest campaign that's running is limited by budget. The worst thing that you can have is a campaign that has unlimited budget and unlimited bids and is just doing whatever it wants. I mean, you're basically running toddler camp here. I mean, it's just a bunch of toddlers running around gathering traffic, throwing it into a bucket. And you're like, this is great, guys. This is exactly what, no, it's not. You're lying to yourself if you think that every click is equally valuable. Not all clicks are equally valuable. Not all clicks should be gathered. Some clicks should be blocked and ignored. Some clicks should be limited. Your budget should be limiting how much acquisition you get. Then you're forced to make cuts. A healthy budget, just like you said, Scott, has limitations so that you're forced to say, you know what, maybe we won't run on Saturday. I can't really afford it. I would rather put more budget into Monday and Tuesday. Let's cut Saturday off simply because we're limited by budget right now. That's a healthy decision to make.
Well said. Well said. And I don't want to skip over it because you had mentioned your phases of Google Ads. And with Chris and his paid search podcast, one of my favorite episodes ever, you do a deep dive into the different phases of Google Ads. So we'll make sure to include a link to that in the description below. One of my favorite episodes you've ever done, my friend.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it's something that I'm particularly proud of, and I hope that if you may have to listen to that whole 10 episode series to really start to understand how to manage your Google Ads campaign. But that's really where I put some of the deepest, most complex things of managing a Google Ads account into that 10 episode series. And believe it or not, call me a bad marketer, but I put it out there for free. You don't have to put your email in or anything like that. It's literally on my podcast feed. So I'm not hiding behind anything. You can just go listen to it, and I hope it helps everyone that does.
Love it. Love it. Well, Chris, this has been an absolute blast. Man, I guess, how can my audience find you? What's the next step if they want to learn more about you?
Yeah. If you're interested, I'd be happy to help out in one of two ways. I do consulting, where it's a live Zoom session, and I help just dive into your account and try and educate you about what's happening and help you in any way I can. I can build a campaign with you. I can edit your existing campaigns. You can book a session at chrisschaeffer.com, or if you want to just skip that boat and go straight into management, you can find options on chrisschaeffer.com as well. So pretty much chrisschaeffer.com those are my two options if you're interested. But otherwise, I really hold nothing back on paidsearchpodcast.com. That's where all my ideas go, and I just put them out there in the universe.
Highly recommend. That's where I found you. So.
Well, thanks, Scott. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Chris. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.